Welcome to the Space Jam.
Okay, let's do this one last time. So Will and I, we just watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And this was your first time seeing it, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I saw it. I saw it in theaters the weekend it came out. I took my nephew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it was pretty sweet. It was pretty good. But I remember I really enjoyed it like in the theater. And then like since it's been out for a while, I think I've probably watched it like 10 times somewhere in there.
Cool.
And it just like it never gets old to me.
Yeah.
Like it has such a great like rewatchability like factor.
I could see that. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that like a lot of like references to like other stuff that like you can miss here and there.
Yeah. Oh man. It's
Yeah.
heavy with like just like Marvel stuff, but also just heavy
Like
Spider-Man
everything.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Why don't you give me like a basic just give me like a basic rundown of like if you enjoyed it and what you enjoyed about it, like why you enjoyed it.
I think honestly the first thing that like really caught my attention and I I don't know, it like put me in the right zone and maybe that was the whole feeling. I knew it was like artistic and like hyper stylized, like
Yeah.
I knew it was going in, but the thing that put me right in the right mood was that little thing in the beginning where it was like approved by the
Hmm.
comic like code or whatever it
Yeah.
said. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was about seeing that. Maybe just from reading comics and stuff. I just like it really tickled me the right way, and I was like, all right, yeah, cool. Like I'm gonna watch this as like a comic book, and then the movie totally is like
Yeah.
it does the whole speech bubble stuff and like the
Oh yeah.
square box stuff where it's like meanwhile or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like that. And I tell you, I never thought I needed it in my life, but and it made me really sad. And I was like, no, this is a Miles Morales movie. But the whole
Mm.
time I was like, tell you, I don't mind me some Chris Pratt
Oh
animated Spider-Man. I really didn't. I really enjoyed him
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. Pine. Chris Pine.
Chris Pine, yeah. Or sorry, that's a
Yeah.
Pratt. Chris Pine.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we just got done watching Guardians. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
But
he's super good, right? Like as Peter
really,
Parker.
really good. Really good. I not that Jake Johnson isn't. He was fine, but he's like a
Yeah.
different
No, yeah.
Spider-Man. But oh man, I don't know. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed it. And the funny thing was too, I don't know if you thought this, that like that opening, it's like, is he supposed to be kind of like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think they're hinting at like he's kind of the same.
Because like it's like, oh, I did this
Yeah.
thing, and
I
then I
didn't.
did this thing, and then this happened, and we don't really talk about this too much.
Yeah.
And I was like,
So yeah, I mean, it might be. It might be kind of like saying that's kind of the same universe,
it was really fascinating. Yeah.
but it's
So,
just a great
anyways,
reference anyway.
yeah. So without going
Well,
beat for
because
beat, go ahead. No,
well,
go
to
ahead.
go along with that, the other things that they show, like that he did, are like very much like Tobey Maguire, like movie parts, like the car coming through the window at the diner.
Yeah.
So it's like it's implied that like this is like that universe.
It really, honestly, kind of did heavily imply that, and I was like, interesting. What an interesting.
Yeah.
But without going beat for beat yet, because you just asked me, I honestly thought I liked it a lot. It was a little more um it was a little more all not all over the place. It was a little more um busier than I thought it was. Like I didn't
Hmm.
expect there to be quite as much going on.
Yeah.
Which wasn't really a bad thing. It just kind of was like I thought it was more of like the two of them. I thought it was the
Mm,
Spider Gwen and the other Peter Parker, and it was just that. And like
yeah.
that, I was on the ride for. And then they introduced those other people, and they were fine, but I was just like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
okay. Like it just like it got. I don't know. Just like it was hard to like. It was hard for me to like fixate. Like, who do I want here to
Yeah.
like pay attention to? You know?
I think that's what I mean too when I say like rewatchability. Like there's scenes
Yeah,
where like,
that's
the fight scenes where there's stuff that Spider Ham's doing, you're not even paying attention.
right. Yeah, but I liked it a lot more. I totally understand why it was like super well received and
Yeah.
like it is a when they talk about like love letters or Valentines or whatever you want to call it to like fans,
Yeah.
like this is a Spider-Man like hey, if
Hmm.
you like Spider-Man period, like this is your movie because it references which
Yeah.
now makes me wonder what the next one's even gonna
It's gonna be
because
insane, is
because
what it's
that
gonna
one looks like
be.
it's even more referential to like
Yeah.
everything Spider-Man.
I think, yeah, the main guy in that is uh Spider-Man
Like
2099.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the guy at the end of the movie, which was really surprising. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that they even like reference,
Yeah.
you know. I thought this was like a okay, now we got this idea, but rather it was like, no, it's immediately a continuation of the movie. I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So I like that. I think going the art style with it rather than it just being like an animated movie definitely lent to some specialness to it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I really like the whole storytelling aspect of it. Is you have this
Mm,
universe is like Spider-Man, he's like in his 40s. He's
right.
very like grounded and set, like, he's got that full like bat cave that's all
Right.
like decked out and stuff. Like he's good at what he does. He's like he's Manhattan's like hero.
Yeah, he's not like Spider-Man still figuring it out. He's
No.
normal. Like, yeah, he's like
Right.
the best
So
at yeah.
so he dies.
Right.
And so now Miles kind of has to fill that like void. So the whole movie is setting up like Miles as a character, like who he is, what he's about, his family, and like how he needs to like become Spider-Man. And then you have the old Peter B. Parker from the other timeline.
Yeah,
He's a washed out, like just kind of like depressed Spider-Man.
right.
And he's like kind of forced into like showing Mile the ropes.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just such a great, like, to me, I love that. And it like the whole movie kind of sets up like
Oh yeah.
him and Miles are great together, and Miles ends up like helping him like in his
Yes.
timeline, like kind of get some of his, machismo back, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's just
I
such a like I just love that. I just love that.
he yeah, it's really fascinating because too, like you look at it from that angle, he, this Spider-Man, the Chris Pine Spider-Man, he don't know him. He has no idea who this
Yeah.
kid is. He could tell that he has I like
Hmm.
it's funny because I'm looking at it through the lens. I'm looking at now looking back at it where you
Hmm.
saw it and then you're seeing the movies that come out afterwards and you're like, oh, that's cool. That's like Into the Spider-Verse where I'm seeing like when the
Yeah.
spider sense thing happens, all I
Yeah.
thought was Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire going
Yeah.
like, hey, wait a minute, like they stare at each other,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
both know about the spider sense, but really it's more of like
This
referencing
yeah, this
this.
came out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I when Miles is in that abandoned like train yard and he first gets
mm,
those like spider senses,
yeah.
and they really like heighten on the fact that like he has no idea like what it is or what it's doing. And then he has his back to like the glass, and then
Yeah.
like the text comes up like move or like get out of the way,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
see the little wavy things like from the
Yeah.
comic book,
Yeah.
and he like instinctually like jumps out of the way. Like it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
you always say like we don't see enough like Spidey sense like in
We
movies
really
and
don't.
stuff.
We don't really. Yeah.
It's kind of hard
The
to show in like live action without like the
Well,
You know?
honestly, the Tobey Maguire stuff when he's at the cafe in
Yeah,
Spider-Man
it
2,
slows down, it like
like boom, and
freezes,
he's like,
and he's like,
whoa, right? I mean,
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
yeah, that
But
is
anyways,
cool.
my point was, so Chris Pine, right? He sees this kid, he realizes he has spider abilities. He's like, okay, hey man, like the coughing's probably not good. He kind of figures he's gonna die. He
Yeah.
gives him the chip. He immediately believes in him, and he's just like, do
Yeah.
well,
Swing
man.
swing up there, plug it in, and hit the button. It's
Right.
like,
But then
no
you
idea.
look on the flip, you look at the other Peter Parker, and because he's had a different life, he's had a more depressing life, and he's kind of given up on things. Like he doesn't believe in Miles. It's an
Yeah.
interesting, it's just interesting how he's like, well, I don't really got time for this, and I don't
Yeah,
really
right.
think you're fit for this. And
He kind of
if you can't do your abilities on command, like what's the
right.
point?
And
Yeah,
that's the thing too, is like he's kind of the one that comes around at the end
yeah,
and gives him that shot in his room. And
yeah,
all the other Spider Men are waiting outside to see like
yeah. What
if he's
happens?
ready.
Yeah,
But like I love that too because he says, it's a leap of faith.
leap of faith. Yeah,
And that's like the last thing Miles says to him before he
yeah.
pops him back in. Thing, yeah,
I tell you, yeah, that it's great that you talked about that because the thing I liked a lot that this movie did really well that I haven't if I probably was hard pressed I could think about it. But this movie probably is the one I could think of at least that when it did that callback thing, I was like, oh nice. I didn't like see it
mm-hmm.
coming. You know how like they sometimes would do it, they'll be like, oh, don't eat the ham, it's spoiled. And then like the whole rest of the movie, you're just waiting for the ham to show up type of thing. It's
It's not forced.
it's not forced. And I really liked that that scene happened and it was something else. Oh, it was when he was like, how do you have that thing? And he was like, oh, he's like, don't watch the mouth, watch the feet type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I liked that type of thing. I like that they
So
called
though,
back to it.
and it's like how my favorite thing in like any hero movie is kind of like the suit up, like
Hmm.
the suit up scene, and like, but in
Yeah,
this movie it's great because like the whole movie, Miles, he kind of sucks, right? He's
yeah,
a
yeah,
terrible
yeah,
Spider-Man. And
yeah.
then the end there where they leave him and his dad comes to his door and his dad gives him this like
Oh, yeah,
basically like, I believe in you, I love you, and it just
yeah,
gives him this like inner like peace essentially. And
yeah,
that's when he's able to control his powers.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And he goes to Peter Parker's basement and he gets the
yeah,
suit and he spray paints the suit black,
yeah,
and the next thing you see is when he they used it in all the previews and
yeah. When he was like
posters and everything.
dropping.
When he jumps off the building, he is like he is like so like cool to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's this cool kid from Brooklyn, right? He's got on his Air Jordans, his red Air Jordans, and his spider
yeah,
suit. He's just got this cool style, and it's like the hip hop in this movie, like the music and stuff. It just makes it so good. And that scene when he's
yeah,
like flipping upside down and when he's like flying through the air like this, like
yeah.
relaxing, he's just got such a sweet like
Yeah,
charisma about him. You know what I
he
mean?
does. He
Like
does.
Miles is a great character. Like, he's a great Spider-Man.
Yeah, I
So when he
agree.
shows up at the end and he's just there and he's helping everybody. It's like I love that whole end scene, the
Yeah,
whole end of the movie.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it was pretty wild too, because um, I didn't think they were gonna go down the whole like Fisk trying to get the family back thing. Like
Oh yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty interesting to be
Yeah,
honest.
and as you know, it's animation, so it's easy to say, oh, it's a kids movie, but like this movie's pretty dark, like in a few
Oh
areas.
wow, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
Uh Fisk's family, they like leave because they're scared of him and they get hit by a truck and they die.
Truck, yeah, yeah,
Like his whole goal in this movie is to bring back Vanessa and his son.
yeah,
Peter and Spider-Man dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
yeah, yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
rough.
His uncle dies.
Yeah, his uncle dies. Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah,
And he's a great character too. Like every time
Yeah.
he like shows up in the shadow and they play that
Yeah.
like that, and you're like, oh
So now
man,
what I'm fascinated for is for you now to go forth and play this
yeah.
PlayStation Miles because
Hmm.
I've played it. So when all this stuff is happening, I'm like, mm-hmm,
Hmm.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I know all about it. So it's funny because I didn't
Yeah, because
growing
I'm
up,
pretty.
I didn't read Miles comics growing up.
Yeah.
So like I didn't
Well, they're pretty recent.
that's what I
Well,
mean. Yeah.
they're
So
probably
it's like,
older now, but yeah, they weren't that
yeah,
long ago.
I was out of my Marvel years and into my
I
DC
I
years by the time
think
they came out.
I think that happened when they did the new phase not that long ago. I can't remember what it was, phase 26 or something. I can't remember.
It's pretty funny too of how many MCU people are voice these people
Mm-hmm.
because I looked into it and so you got um let me look here I wrote it down. So Wilson Fisk is Live Schneider who plays
Hmm.
Sabretooth in
Yeah.
Wolverine Origins. He's his
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
And then Catherine Hahn is Doc or whatever Liv.
Yeah.
She's what's her name? Agatha from WandaVision.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's great too.
She's
So
really good.
the villains in this movie to me are fantastic too.
I loved. I don't know why I was super fascinated with it, but I was like, ooh, her like tube air
Hmm.
pressure like
Yeah.
tentacle thing was super fascinating to me. I
Yeah.
really really liked that.
And her glasses, right? Her
Yeah,
eyeglasses are like octagons. It's
yeah,
like such a nice like
it
touch.
was
Yeah.
really nice. Um, Obviously Nicolas Cage, but he's not.
Yeah, but he's great as Spider
Yes, yeah.
Noir.
Ham slammers, whatever he calls, whatever he says,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
biscuit bashers,
That's Mulaney. John Mulaney is
Spider
Spider
Ham.
Ham. Yeah, how much of an off the wall like reference is that? Like Spider Ham.
Yeah.
And
All I
then
thought
the
about was that Simpsons movie. That's all I thought about every time he talked. Every time, that's all I thought about.
the
Spider Pig, Spider Pig.
the robot girl, that is something that like I
Oh
had no
yeah,
idea when I
no,
saw
me
the
either.
movie. Yeah.
But the aunt was Lily Tomlin. She's an old famous actress. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, MCU. I'm gonna say his name really bad, and I apologize. It's Mahershala, I think is his name, Mahershala Ali. He's playing
Mm.
Blade. He's the new Blade.
Oh,
He played the uncle.
Uncle. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then what did we call her? Kate Bishop
Mm-hmm.
was Gwen Stacy. So that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Haley Steinfeld. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Holy
It's
crap. Yeah,
cool.
I didn't think about that.
I mean, she wasn't at the time when she filmed it, but still
Well,
like
yeah, right, right, right. And Spider Gwen to me is like such a cool character anyway. Like
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. I
she's like an
liked how because
acrobat.
when I saw the promotion for her like buzzed hair, I thought it was like, just some choice. But then I saw the what happens in the movie, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I
I
like her
also
suit too. I
I
like she's got the hood and it's
yeah,
pink and white, and then she's got like the like ballet shoes.
yeah. The thing I liked too was um I don't know if it's ever been talked about in live action. I really liked the thought that he detaches from things by relaxing.
Hmm.
I thought that was a really
Right.
cool, like, hey man, just like chill. And he started singing the song, and he was just like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, and Adrian was watching something, and I was watching it with headphones on. And I made her watch the scene because I died laughing. Stupid. It was a stupid scene, but it's like I don't know.
Hmm.
It really tickled me. So it's when after they're getting the computer he's
Yeah.
trying to get
Which
the
is
thing, and then all of a sudden he fights. It's like, oh, it's actually Doctor Octavius, right? So
hmm.
they go through and they're fighting, and he's trying to get it. He's like, I can't figure it out. I'm just going to take the whole thing, and he's just like, oh, so he's like, they're fighting in the hallway, right? and he's running down the thing, and he's
Mhm.
got the thing,
Oh,
and
it's
then
yeah.
and he comes up to him. He goes, "Hey, so good news is we don't need the monitor." He's,
And then
oh,
immediately gets like punched through the wall. Yeah. It's so good.
oh, I I made her watch it, and I rewound it
It's
like 3 times. I loved
there
it so much.
again, I'll say it again. I'll reiterate. There are so many moments like that. If you watch it, like if you went and watched it again tonight, you would pick up on like other like small
I'm
detail,
sure.
like little throwaway lines. So like at the very end, it just kind of recently stuck in my memory is when Spider Ham is going back to his dimension. He goes, "Well, that's all, folks."
Yeah, yeah,
Peter B. Parker's like, "Is he allowed to say that like legally? Is that like?" It's essentially like a throwaway line
yeah. It
because like
really is.
it's Porky Pig, it's Porky the Pig. Like, oh, so good. But yes, that scene, that whole like office scene,
Yeah,
where Peter's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, I'll put on the charm," but she's
yeah,
like actually like a
yeah.
bad guy.
Wow.
It's great. And then he's
Yeah,
trying to just run with the computer and stuff, and he's invisible.
yeah. It's really, really good. I also like that they all hated him. Like when he show up, all the other doctors are like Spider-Man, and they're all like
Oh,
they got all these guns and stuff.
when they go through, okay, so when they go through like the planning stage where he's like, all right, so the step one is infiltrate. So then we'll sneak down to the cafeteria and we'll find a bagel, right?
Yeah,
So then when they're finally like leaving, he's like, all right, just act casual, and they're like walking
yeah,
through the cafe, and everybody's like, his like briefcase like turns into like a rifle, and it's like,
yeah, yeah.
but
It's like
then
get the bag.
when they're running away, you can see, I think Miles throws the bagel
Yeah,
and it hits a scientist in the head, and then the word bubble comes up. It just says bagel, and
oh,
it's like
I didn't
so
see that.
cool. Yeah,
I didn't see that. That's cool. I did like that the lady yelled at him. He took our bagels.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that
yeah,
too. I love that too because like the scene before that is like Peter B comes to that universe, and like all he doesn't care about anything. He's like,
right.
oh, this is like this burger place closed 6 years ago in my universe. I don't know why. That's like all he cared about was just eating.
Eating a burger, yeah.
And then he's like, all right, well, you can show me how to swing on the way to like upstate. And he's like, dude, taking a bus.
They all took a bus too to
Yeah.
the what should we do to the other place too. Like, no, I'm too tired. Him cracking his back on the tree was pretty good too. Like before
Oh,
he went
yeah.
in, it's just little things because you think about
Yeah.
because Spider-Man does like constantly, like almost all of them, um, make reference to like his back hurting and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I think even Tom Holland stuff where he's just like, oh, like he's
Yeah.
just like, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, I would kill. Well, because it's kind of like implied that he has like fast healing type of
Hmm, hmm.
ability, but he still gets his butt kicked, man.
Yeah. Trying to remember, there was something there.
I like that too. That scene
Oh,
when they're leaving, and he gives him his gauntlet. He gives him his right web shooter.
mhm.
So like they both have one, you know,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
teaching them like you double click to let go, which is
Let
like such a
go.
cool like
Yeah, but they
throwaway
don't.
thing. Like, yeah, you do know that.
Yeah, you don't. They don't talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did
So
like
he's
that
like
too. Yeah, me
thwip,
too.
let go, thwip, let go, and
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
you gotta aim with your hip, you gotta,
yeah. It's
and he's like telling him all this stuff. Miles is like, you just need to, like, I can't, you just need to shut up. It's too much. It's too much.
it's too much. Yeah. The other thing I thought was cool too, which was um when they show Gwen Stacy's origin,
Oh yeah.
they used like it almost implies that the Spider-Man that died was Andrew Garfield
Hmm.
because like the gunshot happens and it's like against the lizard and the cop, her dad's the cop, and then
Yeah.
like he doesn't make it like the other Spider-Man. And I was
I
like, wow,
like,
what an interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like too that they don't make them. It's not like they were dating. Not like they were boyfriend and girlfriend. Like she lost her boyfriend. It
Mm,
just kind of implied that like they're best friends,
yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And they probably
Yeah.
were, they probably did like each other, but
Sure.
still, she didn't say like boyfriend. She said it was, her friend. Because like
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have just because it's a different universe where like she's the Spider-Man
Right.
doesn't mean.
Right. Yeah. Because I also thought that they would make a reference to Peter B. Parker like knowing Gwen Stacy from his universe, like being
Hmm.
like his first girlfriend or whatever, but there's no
Yeah, right.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like to after Miles wakes up that morning like all like crazy and like you like when he's going through school and his thoughts are like really, really
Oh,
loud.
yeah.
Like that whole like coming to like realize that like something's wrong. Like I love
Yeah.
that scene. But then he
Yeah.
realizes that he needs to go back to see the spider, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
he's looking at the spider and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's just a normal spider." Like it's kind of surprising it how normal this spider is. And it's like all blue and glowing and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just like yeah, it's almost surprising at how normal and this spider.
It was funny too when it bit him and then he was just like, whatever.
Yeah, I love that scene too because like he's taking a picture and the spider comes up and bites him and he's like, ah, and the next scene is just him.
Like you just they don't care.
And the other
Yeah.
scene like that always that made me laugh too is when he does the building thing. He goes up to the top of the building to take like
Oh,
his first like leap of faith, and
yeah.
he's up on the edge, you know,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Whew." And then the next scene is like immediately shows him like coming down the
Going
stairs,
down this.
and then he's back out in the street looking, and then he sees like the smaller building, and then it shows him like running up the stairs to that building. It's
Yeah.
like it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all the stuff you would actually do as a kid.
Oh yeah.
You'd be like, I don't think I'm going up that high. Yeah. Yeah, it was really fascinating. I don't know. It was interesting. It was really it probably would lend better to to like watch it like more than once because
Mhm.
like there's just so much going on in the movie.
Yeah, yeah. The
And there was like the Sony suit was in there too, like in
yeah,
the
did you see
cast.
that?
So yeah, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, the PS4 suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and there was a lot of other like cool suits in there too, like the
Oh wow, yeah,
big time
yeah,
suit, like the green.
yeah, yeah. There was a
Um,
whole mess of them, whole mess of them.
I love like you were saying, like the animation, obviously, but like there's a couple scenes where they like really like closely like pan in to like the face and the eyes,
Mhm.
and like in like the highlight like white area of like the like shadowing, it's like the dots
The
like
comic
from
book
the old
texture.
style of comic book texture, and
Yeah,
it's just such a cool. And it seems
yeah.
like too, like what they do is like the thing that you're supposed to focus on is like in focus, and everything
Mm,
else is kind of like blurred out or like double, almost like if you don't wear like 3D glasses.
yes, yes. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
yes. I
Well,
was
I
thinking
remember when
it
I
too.
was in the theater and I first started, I was like, wow, I'm like, was I supposed to buy like 3D glasses for like because it kind of is jarring at first and
No,
then
it
you
really,
totally like settle in.
yeah, I totally agree because I was like, oh, because I was like, what's going on? Because it's like there'll be certain things where they go to do something and it's like a weird double layer,
Yeah.
like you're watching something that has 3D to, but I
Yeah.
mean, you would assume it doesn't, but I don't know.
Yeah, but if you notice like the thing that you're supposed to be paying attention to, like if it's like the main thing on screen, if it's like a character that's talking or like doing something, like that is always like in like perfect focus. And
Mm,
everything else is always kind of like, shadow effect.
I see, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
It's cool. It's I don't know how you animate that. like,
No, I have no
like
idea.
how do you animate 3D to look 2D like that? It's
Mhm.
that blew me away too when the PS4 game came out and
Mhm.
you could unlock like the comic book suit, the cell
Oh
shaded
wow.
suit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
now you're in this like hyper realistic like city environment and Spider-Man looks like a cartoon character from like all angles.
Yeah.
It's like how do you how do you like render that like in the third dimension?
I mean, it's the same thing too with like the Dragon Balls, like in Fortnite.
Yeah.
It's like they're cell shaded like the anime, and you're like you run around. You're like, this is nuts, dude. Like, how are
Yeah.
you getting? But I think it's just like
Yeah.
I think it's just like assets and like how they load the skins in. Like this is just what it
Yeah.
looks like. But
It's funny
they
too. I was just literally thinking about Fortnite the other day too. There's I forgot I had this like wrap and I put it on the like the you know you can put like skins on the boat or like the
yeah.
used to be four wheelers, but it's like it's from a couple seasons ago. It's like a galaxy.
Oh,
So
okay,
it's like
sure.
it looks like the galaxy. It's like all stars like moving.
Oh, yeah.
But like you put that wrap on your boat, but
But
it's
it
like how
looks
does
like the
but it,
depth of it,
it's
right?
like
Yeah.
infinite, like it's infinite. So
Yeah.
now you have this little tiny boat and this huge map full of stuff, and it's like rendering all that like stuff. It's like
Yeah.
I don't understand how. And then it has to render that way for like so now you have a kid like across the country, he's playing against you or with you, and it looks the same on his screen because it's
Right.
the
Right.
computer. It's like,
The
oh, it breaks
computer
my
knows.
brain.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're looking at it from this way, but he's looking at it from this way. And yeah. Yep.
It breaks my brain that like all this like crazy like custom stuff that you can do in that game is like everybody sees it. So like the map has to load like everybody's like weird loadout set in
Yeah, right.
100 times, right?
Yeah, it's true. And then all the nonsense on the map. Yeah. It's interesting.
I think that's why they end up putting like bots in too, because like to fill out some of those spots because it's just
I mean, yeah.
like you just can't like the computer just can't handle
No,
that much.
no, not at all. Not at all. Um, trying to think what else is
I like the so going back to the villains,
okay.
like the Scorpio's
Oh,
design was like
Scorpion.
really yeah, he
Yeah.
was
Yeah, yeah. And also
different
it was like
design, yeah.
it was also nice seeing Tombstone like outside of
Yeah,
comics.
like
I mean, he
doing
was in the
stuff.
and he was in the game, but
Yeah.
I don't know, I like when they because other than we got Batman and Spider-Man are like the two guys who have like so many villains, and I really like when they dig deep for these guys. I love when it's not always the same four villains. Like
Hmm.
it's always Doctor Octopus and Green Goblin and like Mysterio and Venom, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, but he's got
Yeah,
like
right.
900 other ones. Like, show me some of those
What
guys.
does everybody want to do when it comes to Spider-Man? Sinister Six. Like
Yeah, I mean
that's
that's
their
true.
bread and
Yeah,
butter. Don't get me wrong, the video game with the Sinister Six, like it's great.
right, right, right,
Like
right,
they're
right.
all great.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
yeah, like Tombstone and even like Fisk in this is like
Yeah, yeah,
he's this huge boulder. Like
yeah, yeah. I love it. I
like
love it.
how insane are those family portraits that he shows? Like he's in this like big like suit. It's like I don't even know how that works, but
Yeah, and it's cool too. Now when you think about it too, how they filmed Vincent D'Onofrio for their stuff. Like he looks big. Because
Mhm.
Vincent's a normal, average-looking guy, but like the way
Yeah.
they shoot him and the way they make the suits fit him and stuff, like he just looks like he
Mhm.
fills like the entire scene. It's cool. I really,
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that too. But like yeah, they kind of switch it up like Doc Ock making her, the woman scientist there kind of
hmm
switches that character
yeah.
up and
And also, like
uh
Scorpion wasn't just like a guy in like a power suit. He was kind of like a weird robot and like
yeah,
insect man. Like
and
he was a little more
he was actually like Spanish.
true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Green Goblin was like this huge
Huge
like
monster.
Hulk thing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're like you wonder almost like if he's kind of like towards like the like end of his like evolution type thing
Well, like,
because it's Norman. He said Norman. He called him Norman.
yeah. Well, I think that's maybe the issue. Maybe that's like the fun thing to speculate is like, is Green Goblin and Scorpion like because Spider-Man is so much older, like they've had so many battles, and now these are like maybe originally Scorpion was like, big and and in like a giant power suit and fancy and cool and awesome. But then he got his legs broken, or he wanted to fight Spider-Man like better, so he built his suit differently, like whatever, I don't know. But it's
Yeah.
just that type of stuff. And like, okay, Green Goblin gets beat up and he keeps losing. So he goes through like the experiment again, and now it makes
Yeah.
him into like a giant monster. Like
Yeah. He
it's cool.
doesn't go back to formula in this universe.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. I like that. And it's kind of cool
Yeah.
to see like Wilson Fisk as like the bad guy, but also like not just how you normally see him as like
Hmm.
in charge of like all these henchmen. It's just like he has one set goal, like no
Right.
matter the cost, you know?
Right. And even though he sees them like in the subway, like still terrified of him, he still doesn't like he can make it he's delusional and he thinks like, well, I'll make it work. Even though they're not even like my family, they're my
No.
other self family.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah. It's
really
like,
didn't expect from the movie was that whole just that the whole like that's what Fisk was doing and having the collider and like that's how the other
mhm.
Spider-Mans come in. It's like,
Yeah. And that's literally only because like Green Goblin like holds Peter Parker like in the
mm,
stream like in the beginning to try to kill him. And it gets like
yeah.
his DNA
Oh yeah.
like through the driver shot, right? Because like at the end they show like Vanessa's hair on the comb. They're using that like in the particle beam to like lock
Yeah.
on to like all those.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. But so then and then kind of in the end there, it implies that like Gwen Stacy kind of figures out a way to
Come
open
back or
up
something.
the Spider
Yeah.
Verse.
Something.
So I'm
The
interested. Like I'm really interested as like where the story in the second one is.
gosh, I loved that ending.
Yeah,
Did you like that ending with him and
yeah,
the where he's like, the first thing I'm going to do is go to Earth 67 or whatever. And then he goes through and he's just like, you there. And it's like, it was like old, like 1960s, like 1967, like Spider-Man cartoons. And he was like,
yeah,
who are you? And he's like, you pointed at me. He's like, I didn't, you pointed at me. Like, oh man, they're just yelling
yep,
at each other and pointing at each other. Yeah.
yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Which one pointed first? Well, it has to be Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's the
pretty good.
guy. That's what I like. That's the guy, which is another MCU guy. That's Oscar Isaac, Moon Knight.
Oh,
That's who's voicing. That's who voices him at the end of this
I
movie. I don't.
forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Well,
I,
yeah, I think he's the same. I think from
I
the
would assume so.
trailer I saw was the same voice. I also heard that they were trying to like Tom Holland said like, hey, like I'll like voice some lines if and they're like, yeah, that'd be great. So I think it's like said that Tom Holland might be like a guest appearance or something in.
So,
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Again, though,
I
you
mean,
could
they
do
own. I mean,
Toby and you could do Andrew.
that's the cool thing about it all is like it's Sony owned, so they can do whatever they want. Like they don't have to consult with Disney. It's their own
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, right. Like they own it. Yeah. So in the comic, if I remember, there was some weird, crazy thing where there was like this old woman
Yeah, Madam
spider.
Web, right? Like
Yeah.
Madam Web or something.
And
Yeah,
she
I thought
was
about
kind of in
that too.
control of like all of like the multiverse, like just
She's
specifically for
the
Spider-Man.
she's like the reason why they have spider senses, right? Like that's like the
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. She can like tap into the multiverse and yeah,
Yeah, it's weird.
yeah. It is really weird.
That's what's
That's
kind of cool
that's what
about
happens with
like,
comics.
yeah, yeah. When they need to like explain something, right?
Well, it's like when Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were like sitting down to write it, they were like, okay, he's a college kid, he makes webs, he got bit by a spider, he can climb walls. They're like, got it.
Got it.
And then
Makes
you
sense.
you fast forward like 60 years and they're like, okay, what if?
What if there was like this old like woman?
Right. It's like, oh, okay. We got to keep cranking these things out. We can't
She's
stop making Spider-Man comics.
and then they release like Miles and like, okay, now Miles is not part of
Mm-mm.
that that web because like it wasn't supposed to happen. He's not a Peter.
It's not real. Yeah.
So it's funny to me too because was it last week Yeah, I think it was. I think it was in Guardians Volume 3 where you said that the one thing you're really starting to miss now is like uh
Mm,
cameos
yeah. Uh,
from Stan the man. And you
Stan the
get one.
Man.
You get one
I
in this
did.
movie.
I didn't even think about it because, it was, I thought those days were gone. And then I saw it and I was like, oh,
Yeah. I
yeah,
know, and it's such a great like I think of all of his cameo, like obviously his cameos are like funny and fun,
yeah.
but in this movie his cameo feels more like Stan Lee, like himself,
Well, I mean,
because he's
using a quote from him, like in the beginning part of the movie was pretty, or no, at the end of the movie,
yeah,
was, it made it feel more like a comic book, right? Because like he
yeah.
gave you a little thing and yeah.
Yeah, because Miles buys that suit
Yeah.
and he says, "Can I return it if it doesn't fit?" And he said they always fit, eventually.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
it's like so cool because it's like he's saying like, you're gonna grow into the hero that you're supposed to be. It's just
Yeah.
it's great. But I mean, honestly, Miles running around with that like cheap Halloween suit the whole movie with like this, the string in the back.
This thing, yeah.
I love it. So when Peter B. Parker first sees him for the first time, he's like, yeah, usually Spider-Man don't wear their own merch. It's so funny.
Yeah, it was
That
good.
that scene is great too when he shows up and like scares him and he like
Uh,
electric punches him. And then now
yeah.
he's like in a police chase and he's like unconscious.
They're
And so
like,
he's running through the cemetery and they're like, hey kid, leave the body. Leave the body.
just put the body down. Yeah, and then over the radio thing, right? They're like, okay, there's a kid swinging
Dressed
from
as
the
spiders.
subway,
He's a
dressed as
kid dressed
Spider
as
Man's.
Spider-Man carrying a corpse.
Yeah, a homeless corpse. We believe him.
It's so funny, right?
Oh man.
Then he puts his hands up and like accidentally shoots the web and it grabs like the train.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, so good. Like anything bad that would happen could possibly
And he's
happen. Could.
right.
And like I love how like even like Peter kind of like comes like conscious like during that. And he's like, "What that?
Oh,
Why are you trying to kill him?" He's like, "I'm not trying to kill you." And then he hits the sign with his head, and then like immediately he goes unconscious again.
I'm not trying to kill him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, so good.
And then I think when he looks at him and he's just all just he's just like, oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I like that too when Peter B shows up and he's like, "Yeah, so I was in Manhattan, but not my Manhattan, and I was dead and blonde." He's like, it was basically like an exact copy of me, and he like lifts up his thing. He's all like,
Yeah, yeah.
he's just his
Yes,
face is
yes,
all
yes.
black and blue. But even that scene where he's getting like sucked through the portal,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's like
He's just trying
he
to get
like
the pizza.
he webs his mask, he gets his mask, and then the second he webs the pizza, and the pizza like hits the ceiling, like the portal closes.
Yeah.
But he's doing that rundown of like how great his life was, and then kind of like what happens like with him and MJ, and and he's like, yeah, and I moved out, and I'm doing super well, and he's like in the shower in his suit.
Yeah. Super great. Yeah, and then even in the scene where he's getting sucked into the portal, he's like, yeah, I was like working out. He said something like
Yeah,
he's like, oh
doing my
yeah,
ab
so
crunches.
and he's just like eating pizza, laying in bed eating pizza.
Now that's
And
interesting because what I thought about in that scene, right, is like he would have to eat a lot of pizza because he has
oh
a,
yeah,
a hyper metabolism, right?
metabolism.
Because
Yeah,
of
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So he must be pounding pizzas.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Because I think Wright doesn't it's in one of the Toby movies, he says like he has to eat
Mm-hmm.
a lot of food. Like, yeah,
Yep. Yeah, I just love that. That's so funny to me.
pretty rad. I don't know. It was really surprising. I am glad in a way, not like in a I think honestly, I this was the right time for me to watch it because now the other movie's coming out, and it's
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm more invested in that, and I'm like, now I'm looking much more forward to it rather than just being like, yeah, I'm sure it'll be
Yeah.
fine, but now I'm like invested. But
Yeah.
two, I've seen, Far From Home, No Way Home. I've played the Miles Morales game. Like, I've had more like Spider-Man stuff rather than like, wow, Miles was really cool. And then we've had to wait like 5 years to get another new movie. And you're seeing all the stuff like kind of like in a sense, like a lot of the stuff that happens in No Way Home, as cool as it is kind of like the Miles Morales movie, where it's just
Right.
like, oh, it's other versions of Spider-Man. It's like it's kind of been done type of thing. It's just was cool because it's the old
Mm.
guys. That's all.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're very similar, but they hit you differently, like so much
Differently, right,
differently.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because this one is just playing. It's just a interesting multiverse parallel dimension Spider-Man movie where the live action one is just it's solely playing on nostalgia. It's like, hey, remember these guys when you were kids? Essentially, it's like
Yeah.
they're back. That's what they're building it more on.
Right. Yeah. This movie is almost kind of more or less like what I was expecting, like Doctor Strange to be like.
Oh man, yeah. I
Just
think
something kind of like
honestly,
all like kind of crazy, kind of lot going
I think the
on.
next one I think is really going to be what we truly expected because it looks nuts. I mean, it looks out of its mind. There's like 9,000 different Spider-Mans, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's. I mean,
Yeah, it's
whatever,
like
but
they go to like a Spider-Verse topia where it's just all like spider people like in the society. Like their timelines are all gone or something.
I get the impression now from seeing this movie that like there's something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like the 2099 Spider-Man is gathering all the other Spider-Mans.
Hmm.
So they're just like in this weird, like basically in an area where they don't dematerialize, like
Yeah.
disintegrate, and they're all just like hanging out in this weird like middle dimension where they can just like all coexist without dying. I would
They
assume, but maybe not.
they kind of have you believe from the trailer that like 2099 is almost kind of like the villain of the movie,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
and which is an interesting concept
Which is an
because
interesting. Yeah.
Ray, I think one of the it's been a while since I've seen the trailer, but he says something like, "Oh, well, that's not what Spider-Man do," and he goes, "Yeah, well, that's not what I'm doing," and because like
Right. Right. Right.
Miles isn't technically a Spider-Man. He's kind of his own
Right.
thing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm like super excited for it now too. I was
yeah. Yeah.
it's cool that you want to do this because like I probably would have rewatched this before the second one came out. But yeah, I like doing that. I like rewatching a movie before like a new one comes out. It gets me kind of like hyped.
Gets ready for it. Yeah. It gets ready
Yeah.
for
Speaking of, I gotta watch The Meg again.
it. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah.
we should
Yeah.
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 Yeah, we won't talk about it because I don't want to hold anybody to anything, but we should do something. You talk about a good like sci-fi summer movie. Mm, they're so good.
Yeah. I'd have to sit and watch it again. I didn't dislike it. It just was like it was a lot. It was a lot. It was just a
Yeah.
lot.
I got two words for you, Will.
That's
Nathan
it.
Statham.
Jason.
Jason.
Jason Statham. uh,
The transporter's back.
Transporter's back. Oh,
I do love that guy.
I mean, he's a good actor. I don't.
He's been in
He's
some
just,
he's been in some stuff.
yes, he has.
Oh man, yeah. So anything else you can think of? from the movie? We talked about a lot of it. It's hard to remember all the like little details and funny scenes here and there.
No, I think we hit on everything. I mean,
The end fight with Fisk is pretty cool, where
yeah,
like New York, Manhattan, and the Brooklyn Bridge are like coming through, and
yeah. Like the bus goes by and the subway goes by, and like how he uses stuff to his advantage.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else really that like stood out that like I feel like I should talk about.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on the music. The music was really good with this. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
really fits the theme.
yeah, it really does. Yeah.
I appreciate too, like how his suit, like they show him spray painting it,
Okay.
but it would be super easy just to like make the whole suit black and just be like perfect. But they have that scene where he's like holding against the wall before he jumps, and you can see
Yeah.
like his fingers are still red, like the suit is still red, and then it kind
Yeah.
of transitions into the black, but it's not like a perfect
Oh.
like circle. It's like it looks like spray paint. It looks like it's like
Oh, I
sprayed,
see.
so it's like heavy and then kind of like spotty and like misty, like to into the red. So it just adds that extra like really looks like he sprayed it, like quickly sprayed it. That's
That's
pretty cool.
cool.
Even his spider, right? His spider looks like graffiti where it's like
Oh,
dripping.
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
the black and red. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great looking suit. He's got his little jacket and like I said, his red Jordans. It's so
Yeah.
cool. I like
True.
that too. The whole movie they tell him like, oh, you know your shoes are untied. He's like, yeah, I
Mhm.
know. It's a choice. It's a choice. But then when he goes to run off
He-
jump off, he trips on his lace. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they set it up.
Mm. Yeah. They do a lot of nice setups and then payoffs. That's which is a big plus for me. I like when
Yeah.
you're going to draw attention to something or talk about it, like
Hmm.
why, essentially. I like all that stuff.
The the other the other thing that made me laugh out loud is the part where he wakes up in that morning after he gets bit and he like puts his pants on and they're like super
Oh,
short and
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like what? My pants don't fit. That's weird. I must have hit puberty. And like his roommate is like on the computer and he's just like he stops typing. He
yeah.
starts typing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he says it again. He says it again to Gwen,
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
it's so
he's like,
funny.
well, I did hit puberty, but I mean, it's like, I don't, why are you sweating so much? Why am I sweating so much? Yeah,
But then even like later when
yeah.
in that same scene, he like gets his hand stuck like on her hair. And he says, "Ah,
Yeah.
no, it's sorry, it's puberty." And she's like, "I don't think you know what puberty is."
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
He keeps
It's
saying it.
okay.
And
I
I'm
got
like,
a plan. I got a plan. I'm gonna pull really, really hard. She's like, that doesn't sound like right.
oh
Yeah,
man, yeah, that's cool. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited for
yeah.
Across the Spider Verse. Yeah.
And then I learned that there's Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Oh, they're doing a
So
third one.
they're doing a third
Wow.
one.
I didn't
So
hear that,
even
so that's cool.
yeah, I didn't know either. I literally just like last night after I was looking up, like I was like, hey, what's this thing? And I looked into it and I was like, oh whoa, they're making more
Hmm.
than just one. So
That's pretty sweet that
cool.
they announced that already.
Yeah. I think it's just coming. I think literally it's coming out like next year or 2 years from now. So
Wow, that's cool. And now
well,
the
the sad thing is like who knows because of the writer's strike, like some stuff's gonna get delayed now.
yeah.
I don't know if Spider-Man is. I'm just saying like that's just
Yeah.
happening right now.
Yeah, that happens every 10 years or so.
Yeah, like every 5, 10 years. Yeah.
Uh, the the second Sony game should
That's
be coming
true.
out soon too. I can't remember when.
Sometime, I think
I
this
think it's
year
this year.
or next year.
because they
This year or
showed
next year, yeah.
I think they showed the trailer last summer.
I don't
I
remember.
didn't watch it. I didn't watch the trailer. I don't want to see it. I don't want to avoid it. I don't want to see the trailer.
I don't want to look at it.
I don't want to look at it. But to me, that the same way that I like hold like Arkham Asylum in like
Mm.
such a high regard for like this video game is Batman. This is what I want from Batman. This
Oh,
is what I
right,
want from DC, right? Characters are perfect.
right,
Everything about that game, dude, is so good.
right. Yeah,
That's what Sony Spider-Man was for me.
absolutely,
It is a
absolutely.
perfect Spider-Man game.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody got super hyped for like the Avengers because they were like, yeah, it's the same universe.
I know.
Like it's the same universe, and it just didn't
No,
do it.
no.
When you're playing that game and you're swinging through and you swinging through a construction site and you can like
Oh, yeah,
grapple to the pipe and he does this perfect like spin through the construction pipe like out the other side.
yeah, yeah.
They even said like in an interview, like the guy in the one guy that does it, they had the animation for him like sprinting up the wall,
Printing.
right?
Yeah,
But then
which
they
is
said,
always
hey,
great. Yeah.
that's great, but what if the player clips into the fire escape, you know?
Oh,
Because most games it would just kind of like clip map you back to the flat part of the
oh,
wall. And they didn't want to do that. They wanted it to be like super like flawless. So he spent like a ton of time making sure like the computer knew like if you hit the fire escape, he like jumps off, right? And he uses his
he like
web
spreads his leg.
and
Yeah,
he spreads up the railings. It's just like that
yeah.
to me is like it just adds that
No, it
like
means
detail.
it means everything because that's as a video game player, what you want is to swing around and be Spider-Man. And it's like, guess what?
Yeah.
Spider-Man doesn't do weird like clipping things or like, well, he only goes over here. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
He touches everything. He puts his hands on things. He spins. He flips. It's like that's what you want from all of it. So immediately when it does it, you're like, you get more. You're like, okay, if this isn't interesting
Yeah.
or like, whatever, it doesn't matter because it's all washed out by
Yeah.
combat and like like him going through you
Yeah.
going through the city. I hurt. You talk about hurts your brain
Mm-hmm.
is um when he's on his like earpiece
Mm-hmm.
that they had whatever the guy's name is, the actor, and they literally had him film like or film like a record two different pieces of dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
like the same dialogue, I should say. They had him record the same dialogue twice. Once if you're just like standing or like walking around or just like look
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know whatever, and then if you're swinging, he's more like if you just like he talks more breathy and it's
It's
crazy that the
crazy.
game knows like you can literally go from him being like, well, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, Doc, like, oh, Doc, I'm running late, I'm gonna get there, and then you start to swing and he's like, well, you better get here now, Peter, because I'm gonna close down to him. He's like, just hold on, I'll be right there. Like
Yeah.
literally the dialogue changes because
It's
now you're
insane.
swinging. It's crazy.
It's
It's
insane.
crazy,
Yeah,
dude.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember that too because like if he's on the phone, he's got his earpiece thing, and you can
Yeah,
just kind of like slowly walk around the roof, and he's just totally like having a normal conversation.
right.
But you can like jump off. Yeah.
And just it's
The
it's
other
it's
thing,
really cool.
the other thing that's kind of cool about that game is like, I mean, obviously all of like the major like New York City landmarks are there,
Wow, yeah.
and you can like get to them all. Like I've been to the city a few times, so it's like you can
Mhm.
in the game you can like go to like where you've been and be like, yeah, I literally have stood at this spot and looked at like Times Square right here, or I've been to like Rockefeller Square and I've seen the arena, the rink, and it's like shot for shot for shot.
Yeah,
It's so cool. So
it
it's
is.
like they kept the majority of like the major parts of New York City, but like they kind of compressed it
Yeah,
a
they
little bit.
smush
So like,
it. Yeah.
but you don't know, dude. Like, if you were to swing from, see, lower south side, right, all the way up to the upper. It would
Right.
take you probably 10 minutes to like swing
Oh
like all
yeah.
the way to the end. Like it's a huge map.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah. I
cool.
mean, it's like part of you wants this like ridiculous realism, but at the same time, like, do you honestly want to be like, okay, it's like here's the pin on the map. It's 9,000 kilometers away. You're like, oh, okay. Like,
You kind of already
they,
feel like that sometimes.
yeah, and things wouldn't feel quite as realistic when it's like, oh no, the thing blew up over here. He's like, well, I'll get there in 5 minutes. It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
And they
you
kind of
know,
took that thing from like Assassin's Creed where
hmm
you would go find like the Eagle Tower or the Eagle Nest
yes,
and like survey the land. They kind of took that with like the police station. He would like integrate his
yeah,
like map to like the police broadband, and it would give him this like this
yeah,
whole new area of the city to like patrol
right,
essentially.
right, yeah,
It's a great game. I mean, and the story alone
yeah.
is so good. So yeah, we'll have to do like when that game comes out, we'll have to do another like video game review.
Yeah.
That's
Hopefully
something
they
we don't
release
something
it
we
for
don't do.
PS4 and don't make it a PS5
No.
exclusive.
No, sorry. They won't. They won't.
I hope not. I hope not. You never know.
Ah,
That
well,
that that
here's
Breath of the Wild DLC was PS5 exclusive.
oh, was it really?
The one that just came out, yeah, it's only PS5 exclusive. So I mean, it's starting to happen. It's going to slowly. They're going to stop making stuff available for PS4.
Well, yeah, they kind of already have. I mean, um, like I can't play Jedi, the new Jedi game that just
Right.
came out. Like, yeah, I can't play that. Really, really hurts me in my soul. Yeah, it really hurts. That's a
hurts hurts the feelings.
like, oh, you want to play this game? Well, that'll be $700. I don't know. Eventually, but it's not
Eventually,
anytime
yeah.
soon. It's just, I kind of hate that like phase where like all your friends start getting them and then it's been out for like 4 years and it's just like you're getting away from it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why
Yep.
I always laugh because like a lot of these people like they bought like a PS5 when it first came out and there was like nothing really to play. So they all just continued to play Fortnite. It's like
Right, or their PS4 games that just ran a little better. Right, that was pretty much it. Yeah.
yeah, like Spider-Man. Spider-Man, the big thing was like, hey, remember how like there was those like mini cutscenes like when you fast show? Like, yeah, they're gone. Like, oh, okay. I kind of like the cutscene. It's kind of funny to see him like talk to the guy on the
On the
train.
bus. Yeah, yeah,
Like, remember how they took 10 seconds? Now they take 3. Ooh, well worth the price point. Well worth the price.
yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
think a few things have come out. I think the new Horizon game came out. That was
Yeah.
exclusive. And I don't know. So here's my dilemma is like when this comes out,
hmm
that's what made me buy a PS4. I literally had that pre-ordered, like the collector's set.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I didn't have a PS4, but I had it pre-ordered for PS4. I was like, I got to get one of those before that ships.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't even know what they're doing. I don't even know what Bethesda's up to anymore. It's kind of sad to even think about how.
Starfield. That's what I'm in. Starfield.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Who knows? Who knows when it'll come out? But
Well,
yeah.
here's the issue is Microsoft, like they're owned by Microsoft now.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
So that no
So
bueno.
they're doing all the great things.
I've never
There's
seen a
no way.
company go from like being so highly regarded to like just like bottom,
Sure.
like nobody does anything.
Yeah, they're getting really fed up with it now.
Yeah.
They really
Well,
are.
It's like I'm not saying like a major company should like listen to the fans and do whatever they want,
Right, right, right.
but you should listen to majority of the fan. I mean, you got 10 people
Well,
playing 76 and they say, "Well, obviously people enjoy it, so you're wrong." Like,
yeah, the thing that's funny is like the thing I've read a lot about lately is they just do a lot of they've just been doing a lot of talk and not actually showing like
mhm.
actual gameplay or like what they're doing. They're just like, hey, wouldn't you think this is a cool idea? They're like, yeah, it is a
Yeah.
cool idea, but like,
They're
is it an actual game or a thing or whatever?
they're doing
So,
what Disney does. They
mm,
Disney calls it pie in the sky. Like, here's our pie in the sky ideas. Like, hey, maybe Zootopia land, maybe Encanto world. These are just ideas. It's like, so if the audience is like, yes, then like they'll put something on the books. But it's just because
hmm,
Bethesda did that. God, what, like maybe 3-4 years ago? I think 76 hadn't come out yet. They showed
hmm,
a trailer for like Starfield. They're working on the space RPG thing, which it
yeah,
could be cool. And then at the very end of that, like game,
I know what
I
you're
don't
about, like,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah, they showed like they showed um like
it was like
Skyrim
Elder Scrolls
essentially.
5,
Yeah,
yeah,
and they were
or
like,
yeah, whatever,
yeah,
six, I think.
I think
I think it's
Sky.
six. I think it's
I thought what was Skyrim? Was Skyrim 5 or 6?
5.
Okay, so yeah, this would be 6. And they're like, yeah, Elder Scrolls, but we have like no idea. It's
Yeah, like
basically they're
there's
just saying
nothing.
like, yeah, we would like to do this at some
Right,
point.
right. Like, what do you think about that?
And that even like they've joked about like they release Skyrim on every console. It's like
Yeah,
it's not funny. It's not funny anymore. I get the games take a long time, but my thing too with like Fallout is like just let Obsidian make another one.
true.
You know, make another like New York, like Fallout New York or Fallout Paris
And
or
he's
something crazy would be awesome.
yeah, I'd love an overseas one.
Yeah, like London, Fallout London.
Yeah, I like to see how other nation, honestly, even like Fallout, like China or Russia, like wherever the bad guys are, like
Oh,
be on like the flip of it, like
that's a cool concept. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Also, also it'd be really cool if you took like a nation that like wasn't bombed,
Hmm.
like they survived somehow because of something. And it's like it's not nuclear wasteland, but like everything around them is, and it's like about like them trying to
Yeah. Yeah.
like protect their land or whatever. I don't know, just radical different ideas for gameplay and just
My brain like immediately went to like Hawaii because it would
yeah,
like be like
yeah.
not bombed, but Dead Island 2 is already coming out. So
Yeah. Also, global annihilation hits all parts of the earth. So
yeah, I don't know. I
Unless it's Atlantis.
oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. We were watching a show. I can't remember what it was, but we're in like the second season. It's almost like at the end of the second season, and it's like a murder mystery. It's kind of
Okay.
like a realistic show. But then there's this episode where like they're in New York City and the power goes out in like all
Oh.
of New York. And it just kind of like that's how the episode ends. And I was like, oh my God, how crazy would that be? Like if a show was like this super realistic show, right? It's a procedural crime
And
drama.
just like
Season 2 like ends with like a power outage, planes go down, and then season 3 is just like it's just an apocalyptic like zombie show now. Like
it's
how
like a
crazy would that
like an
be?
alien invasion type of thing. Like, yeah.
Yeah, because we were watching it like at the same time, and I was like, oh man, how funny would that be if like now this becomes Last of Us? It'd be crazy.
Like this is the show. Yeah.
It'd be nuts, right? It'd be
I bet.
crazy.
It'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty funny because it's like it'd be a pretty big leap because you're like, okay, we got all these people interested in this crime
Hmm.
procedural. Now we're gonna turn it on its
It's
head and make it a yeah.
immediately what I think of is like that is what could have made Lost so much
Wow.
better.
Wow.
Six
Yeah.
seasons of them being on the island, they finally get off the island, right? And they
Yeah.
get, and it's immediately, you blew it up. you, you
Right. Oh yeah.
maniacs, right? Right. New York City's
Yeah.
gone. Statue of Liberty's blown up. It's just like, and it just
Yeah.
ends. That's how it ends. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you
You
guys
like you
were much
learned
better
that
off on the island.
it's like yeah, you learned that
Yeah.
what made him crash was some sort of like weird thing happened and it made him
Yeah,
crash
An
basically.
EMP from,
Yeah.
like Russia or something. And then,
Right.
China and Russia like joined forces and destroyed the US like while they were on the island. Like
Yeah.
that's a great show. Oh
Yeah.
well, that's why we're not big Hollywood writers. Well,
Nope, because we wouldn't get paid the big bucks. We gotta write garbage. If we wrote garbage though, we'd be oh my God, are you getting an Oscar this spring? Because I'm getting one. I wrote hot garbage.
yeah, we specifically only write for the CW.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
Hey
don't
Barry,
know if I
how are
can.
you going to beat this villain, Barry?
I'm not
Well,
sure.
I'm going to try to run a little bit faster.
This time I'm gonna run a little faster. Well, I can't. I can't run faster, but Barry, we think you can, so you should. I'll
But Barry, you haven't seen. These are the new Nike 360 Airs. These are released in 6 platinum colors to Brandon.
also had Do You Miss Your Mother? That's motivation.
Picture
Run
her
faster,
at
Barry.
the end. Oh,
Yeah,
so,
it's okay.
oh well,
I've
that's
come
good.
to learn that all the CW stuff is for teenagers who are like 14 and under,
Yeah, yeah, I
and it just is sad because it's all the stuff I want. I'm like, oh,
know.
but then I got to deal with all the like angst of teenagers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you
So,
mean you're not going to text her
what
back?
are you talking about? So, my mom, she used to love Arrow,
Oh yeah,
and to me, like the guy who plays Arrow, he's great,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
but the show is terrible. It's terrible.
Oh
Some
yeah.
seasons are better than others, obviously, but then it
Oh
just
well, of
goes
course.
off the rails, man. It's just
I couldn't even stick it out with the Flash. I don't even know how many seasons I got in, 3 or 4, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
the thing about the Arrow is what I always used to make fun of her for is like every time I'd come over, he'd be working out. Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, okay. And then they'd show a
Right.
flashback of him like on the island. I was like, oh my God. Is every season about how he got off the island?
Oh yeah,
Like every season is about how he got off the island. So they
yeah,
also do his monologue where he's on top of the building like Batman, he's all broody and this
yeah,
is my
yeah,
city. And my city is sick. This is
yeah.
sickness. Like
Just like he is in the comic books, he's exactly like Batman in the comic books.
he's more like Robin Hood in the killer.
He's yeah.
He might
It'd
as
be
well be
really
the
funny
man
if
in
it's every
tights.
time you if every time you came over, your mom was just watching the same episode.
Oh, I'm sure she was.
You were like, oh my God.
I'm sure she is. Yeah, sure she
It was
was.
like, oh wow. She's like,
Are
I
you
like this
still?
one because this guy's in it.
Are you
Yeah.
still on the island?
Brother.
Yeah, pretty good. Well, that'll cover it for Spider-Man and the Spider.
Listen, it's not a proper nerd holes unless it derails.
Well, we got to talk about other properties that we love.
Well, you know what it is, right?
Yeah,
If we talk about DC, Marvel's coming. If we talk about Marvel, then DC's coming. So
yeah,
it,
but I
it's
but I bashed on Fallout too. So
mm,
yeah.
yeah.
Did you see how in Guardians like the intro is you going Guardians?
Yes. Andy?
That's what I was just thinking. That's what I was just thinking. It's Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man,
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Man.
Fallout.
Well, that's not really true. That's not
CW.
really- I was just say, yeah, yeah. CW Arrow, CW Arrow. Into the Fight. Yeah, that's really more what it was. Because you weren't crapping on Fallout that bad.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh boy.
It was
All
more,
right.
it was
Well,
more like I know what it was. It was more like Marvel, Microsoft. That's more of like closer to what it was.
oh man. That's funny. Oh man.
That's it.
Yeah. That is it. That'll
What's the
that'll do
thing
it.
you said in the beginning, which was good? What was it? It was like this is the
Okay.
last time. Yeah.
Let's do this one more time. My
Yeah.
name's Peter Parker.
Yeah. My name's Pickle Parker. I was bit by a radioactive pickle.
For 10 years, I've been the only pickle. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that too when they set up the character and it's like it
Very
shows a
much
comic
so.
book cover and they say, this I thought I was the only Spider-Man. It's the same intro. It's great.
They're definitely going to do it in the second one when they set up 2099 Spider-Man. There's no way they're not going to do it.
They have to do it for him at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny
that-
if they were like they just throw a whole bunch of comic books down for all like it's just like okay here we go and then it's like huge stack of comic books for all the Spider-Mans like in the scene. They're like we're not going to explain it. I think you understand.
And then like 2 movie covers get thrown in there for like
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too because even that like intro it leads all the way up to like Miles at the end saying like okay for real last time my name is Miles Morales. I'm the only Spider-Man in my universe.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It was.
Cool. All right. Well,
Can't stop me now.
We will catch you guys next time when we go into the nerd holes.